Music Stories for Juniors by Stuart Manins. Number 10, So Me and the Monster. "I know a story about a monster," said Mrs. Clapham. Her class sat up and listened. "Is it a taniwha?" asked Tone. "You'll have to wait and see," she replied. There was a great big monster who had very large feet. Extra large feet. Feet like hunks of meat. It had a great big body, 'cause it used to eat and eat. Large feet, long legs, wide chest, thick neck, all held up by its feet, by its very large feet. "But is it a taniwha?" asked Tone again. "Maybe. It's just what you want it to be. Perhaps it is a taniwha. We'll call it Ta for short." When the monster Ta was on the move, it walked steadily and firmly. It never ran. It seldom stopped. What about when it saw a wooselberry bird it wanted to eat? It would slide out its 3 flaming tongues and flick the wooselberry bird into its mouth. Monster Ta always walked. "What about if its pants caught on fire?" said Tai. "It always walked, it never ran." "What about if a fast car came towards it when it was crossing the road?" said Kiri. "It always walked over the crossing. It never ran." The bell rang before Mrs. Clapham had time to finish her story. "Walk like monsters, don't run," she said, as the children left the classroom. Outside, Somi and his friends pretended to be monsters. Left, right, ta, 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 ta. Maybe the monster was like an enormous ant, walking ever so softly, suggested Renee. All the children pretended to be enormous ants walking softly. "Maybe the monster was like an oversized elephant walking ever so loudly," suggested La Somi. All the children walked loudly like oversized elephants. After play, the children told Mrs. Clapham what they had been doing. Some of the class made ant monsters, and some of the class made elephant monsters. Under the monsters that walked softly, she wrote Ant Monster, because in music, P means soft. Under the elephant monsters that walked loudly, she wrote Ant Monster, because in music, F means loud. "Is there any more to the story?" the children asked. "Oh, yes. I haven't told you about the little monster yet." Monster Ta was often seen with a little monster following behind. The little monster trotted all the time. It never walked. It always jogged. Whenever the little monster trotted beside Ta, it took 2 steps to Ta's 1. Ta called the little monster Tate, but Tate was too small to say its name. It said Titi instead. Ta, 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 tate, tate, titi, titi, tate, tate, titi, titi. On a big walk, it didn't take long before the little monster was panting and very tired. "Didn't Tate ever walk?" asked Lami. "No, not even when it wasn't in a hurry." What about when it had a sore leg? Mrs. Clapham said that sometimes Tate had to stop for a rest, but it still trotted when Ta walked. What about when it was very, very tired? Said Tammy, who was still getting her breath back from trotting round the classroom. As long as Tate could move, it always went. I want to be a taniwha, said Honey. I want to be a woozleberry bird, said Renee. I want to be a p-ant, whispered Tai. I want to be an elephant, called out Somi. I want to be Tate and go tee-tee, said Lami. I just want to be myself, said Kiri. So they all were what they wanted to be until lunchtime.